Okay, welcome everybody to our November meeting. Today's Tuesday, November 14th. We have a lot of good stuff to talk about, and I'm glad you're all here. So let's get started right away with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So just a brief introduction. I said I wasn't going to do this, but I'm going to do it anyways. Please welcome John Penny as our new village board trustee.
Appreciate it.
Welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Look forward to getting started.
All right. Is there anybody here for public comment? Marie, no. Please come up, introduce yourself, address, 3 minutes. Thank you.
My name is Marie Trombini. I live on Prospect Street. I sort of have a question about one of your codes, village codes. There was a former version, section 125-38, on fences, gates, and walls. And it said that you could build the fence and the gate or the wall up to, but not on the next property owner. And then it got changed at 120-13, and it still had the fact that you could build up to, but not on the property line. But it said that you had to, as with the first one, some sort of a setback in order to have routine maintenance so that you could take care of both sides so it would look respectable. The current version, 120-14, says also that you can go up to but not on the property line, and it must be located entirely on the property of the person constructing that fence, and that both sides must be maintained in respectable condition. So my question is, why would you remove the setback requirement if you have to still maintain it on both sides, but you're up to the property line? How do you get to maintain the backside?
That's a good question. Have you asked our zoning department?
I have not. I think you know the relationship I have with your code enforcement officer, so I don't really go down that route very much. So if anyone would like to look into that, you can get back to me. You all have my email address. So the next thing, it says that same code, section 120-14, that with the exception of vegetative screening, front yard enclosures shall contain evenly spaced gaps and be at least 40% open. I looked up the legal definition of what an enclosure is, and it says land that is surrounded by a fence, wall, hedge, ditch, or any other physical boundary that marks its limits. Overall, an enclosure is a physical boundary that marks the limits of a piece of land or property. So, as you know, Hagberg spoke to the mayor about re-landscaping on Prospect Street, and what he did was he put in a front yard enclosure that's 100% blocks my lot, and about 80% blocks the house that I live on, the lot that my house is on. So I'd like to know why the exception was made, that you didn't follow the rules, that it had to be 40% open. That's my question.
Thank you. We'll take it to the zoning department and have them get back to you.
All right, and if I have like 2 seconds left, this is the hydrant on Prospect Street, and maybe we could give it a little love and care and at least paint it. Looks really bad. Thank you.
The zoning enforcement officer is in his office right now, if you want to take any of those questions to him.
I don't really care to speak to him.
Okay.
Anybody else? Hearing none, we're going to move on.
I have a quick comment. In a previous meeting, someone raised in the public comment some questions about Zoning Board of Appeals minutes, and I wanted to remind the public that Zoning Board of Appeals minutes, even if they are not finalized by the board, the Zoning Board of Appeals, they can actually, draft ZBA minutes can actually be used for enforcement provisions. So as long as you have a draft, you're allowed to then use it for whatever you need to use it for. Because the Zoning Board of Appeals only meets once every blue moon, I wanted to make sure that the public understood that draft minutes can actually be used for whatever purposes you need to use them.
And are those on file somewhere?
Those are usually online, and if they're not online, then very easily found by calling the Building, Planning, and Zoning Office.
Am I allowed to comment on that at all? Because
You have to come up.
I was the person that raised that question last month.
Yeah,
And I do appreciate you looking into that, because
Yeah.
I had been waiting a long time, so thank you very much.
yeah,
I did look at open meeting law that you recommended,
yeah.
and it does say that all meetings of public bodies shall be available to the public within 2 weeks from the date.
Yep.
And as you know, I looked at the draft, and it wasn't published until,
Well, it wasn't finalized
no,
until.
this is the draft. The draft wasn't available until, until July 24th, and the meeting was on June 15th.
Okay,
So I learned something about doesn't have to be approved, and maybe you could pass that on to,
yeah, well, they're getting
because
better.
I have my
doing
notes
things.
where I went and spoke with both
Yeah.
Ryan and Miranda. So I
Yeah,
have dates, and it was well past June 15th, the 2-week timeframe.
Yes,
So, but again, we are moving along, and it's due to your help, so thank you.
yeah, no problem.
Karen, treasurer's report?
Okay, treasurer's report is for the period ending October 31st. The general fund ended the month with $170,697.08. The water fund ended the month with $129,622.12. And the sewer fund ended the month with $184,222,061. Vouchers presented for payment in the general fund total $165,575.71. In the water fund, $61,838.15. In the sewer fund, $44,048.77. Escrow bills in the amount of $4,154.33. The water system improvement project, $60,994.50. The wastewater treatment plant and sewer upgrade project, $37,460. We paid a bond, principal and interest for the police station in the amount of $57,500. And we had bills for the Center Street totaling $281,703.50. The monthly operating statement is provided with the revenue and expenditures through November 14th, through this meeting. I'm also asking the board to authorize reclassifying a sub-account that we had for 25-mile-per-hour speed limit, to change it to just traffic, to make it a little more general in its usage. Water and sewer, I don't know if you want to do these each individually, or you want me to go through it? You want to approve the vouchers?
Yeah, let's approve.
Okay.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve the vouchers as submitted.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and then to reclassify sub-account 1.74 from 25-mile-per-hour speed limit to just traffic.
So
I'd like to make a motion to reclassify that line item to traffic.
Second.
Discussions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so moving on, water and sewer, November monthly bills were sent out at $55,945.37, due on December 25th. Billing and adjustments, as signed off by Mayor Bassett, are on file and presented for approval.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the adjustments as submitted.
Second.
I'll get there eventually.
Yeah.
You can say nay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, regarding taxes, the list of unpaid village taxes has been forwarded to Dutchess County for re-levy. Budget amendments, they are online, and I'm just asking the board to authorize the budget amendments for this month.
I'm going to make a motion to approve the budget amendments as submitted by the treasurer.
I second.
Discussion. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
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 That's all I have.
Thank you, Karen. Okay, we have a purchase request for Highly Road cleanup. Our DPW, Kyle Lamy, is here to talk about that, please.
Thank you, Mayor and the Village Board. So, if anybody is familiar with Highly Road, no secret that the neglect and the growth throughout the years has definitely invaded our surrounding fenced area, our buildings and so forth, which then has created a point where it's a little beyond our ability to properly correct this. I've also met with neighboring on that property. It has been, growth has entered their property as such.
Growth has grown.
So, yeah, so I went out and contacted services to get a price in regards to cleanup on that. After contacting 4 services, we received 2 back. One for $24,500 and the other for $22,000, which will be, the work will be done is take down and remove all extreme invasive trees and surrounding the building inside the fence area, remove all chips and brush from the side to avoid contamination and growth as such trees, grind stumps and grave and remove excess grindings, haul in chips, fence areas, and fresh chips to non-invasive species to help control regrowth and weed and brush, remove all brush and vines from fence so the entire fence line will be free of vegetation, remove all brush and trees growing around water basin and cut stumps flush, remove all logs, wood and brush, rake and work area. That's the work that would be done, so it's my recommendation to the village board that we accept the lowest quote for $22,000 to have the work completed on Highly Road.
I'd like a motion to accept the bid as submitted for $22,000 to clean up the reservoir area on Highly Road.
From Dave's Tree Service.
Yes.
Do I have a
Second.
Okay, thank you, Lydia. Questions, discussion?
Are we gonna, not to bring up sort of old and frustrating history, but are we gonna make sure that we stay on top of this now moving
Yes,
forward?
the mayor and I spoke today in regards to our long-term plan.
Okay,
With obviously taking on this type of project at large, that will be very in tuned that it doesn't happen again.
So I think Lydia's going down another path. This does not include the area out in front of the reservoir where we did all the plantings. This is the surrounding around the fence.
Oh, okay.
This is the surrounding around the old lagoon, which, you know, we've been asked repeatedly from a Department of Health to clean up, removing all those, what are they called?
Ailanthus.
Oh, yes. Growths that keep coming back and kind of permanently remove it. It does not include that area.
okay, got it, that makes me feel
Okay.
better then.
Well, we have to still adjust that. We
Got
have a plan that we're discussing, but
Yes.
it's not, we don't have a,
So this is just different parts, different.
this is the rest that has been kind of left alone.
And I think it's worth
Okay,
pointing out that there's 2 modes to try to get rid of the ailanthus trees, one of which is to cut them down and apply basically concentrated glyphosate, and the other is to mechanically remove them, basically literally dig them up by the roots. And the route that we're going here is to dig them up, so we're not going to be applying Roundup or any of those type like chemicals up in that area.
Oh, but are we digging up the root?
Yes.
That's my question,
Yes,
because
yes.
these trees are
Oh, yeah,
insane.
and I'm not gonna, even out of the quotes that I got, there could be some stray trees down there, some saplings that do grow,
Yeah.
but it'll be more where we can manage it. So
Okay.
that's going to be part of our, obviously, our maintenance up there with the mowing and you know, maintaining around the fence. We'll also be going after those saplings that are growing.
How many quotes did we get, just out of curiosity?
We did, out of the 4, we got 2.
You got, okay.
Yep, out of the 4, we got 2, and that's the only ones that responded back. 2 other phone calls, and nobody even returned my call.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
So Vanessa, the key word here is remove. So that's
Yeah.
what they're gonna do, they're gonna dig them up.
Make that the same question.
Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So passed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Center Street change order number 3.
Kyle, Stephanie.
The resolutions. So this is, for those who are familiar with the Center Street project that's going on, we've been actively addressing all of those issues out there. This one addresses the issue with the aprons. I don't know if Kyle, if you would like to come up and talk to it, but please feel free to jump in and address why we need to attack this and what the schedule is.
What has happened with this work order 3 is that throughout the years, when the state built these roads, they came in on the apron, which is X amount of feet coming in onto the village streets, and that was concrete. What has happened with water leaks and so forth and drainage and everything, the concrete has heaved. So in order to, when they come in and mill the road to do the final blacktopping, it's not going to be in conjunction with the rest of the road because of the concrete and tougher to mill. So we've elected to then put this work order in that will remove the concrete, then we'll be able to get more of a drainage, slope, and milling when we do it. And that will be done on both sides of Center Street. And also will be in conjunction of the work going forward for the sidewalks and handicap accessibilities coming up in the spring as well.
All right, so the schedule for this is, if approved, they would start on tomorrow, Wednesday, and complete it Wednesday and Thursday, and then that project will quiesce itself until next spring when we need to come back and mill and pave, but that'll be coordinated with the next project to make sure that it works in conjunction with that. Now, we had talked about starting the sidewalk renovation as well this year.
Yeah.
So that's not going to happen. You know, it makes better sense to us to complete this project, get this paving done, get everything out of the way. The plants are soon going to close, and rather than have them come in and start cutting up pavement and do everything, this will be done. We will start that next project late March, and they figure 5 weeks in 8 March, and during that time, we will coordinate then the milling and pavement to be done. So we're going to let everything settle for 90 days out there with all the trench work that we did, and they'll come back and then do the mill, and we'll coordinate that with the next project. So it will not be starting as we had hoped, so we will not have that work done this year, but it'll be done in the spring of next year. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the change order number 3 for $29,460 to be conducted as soon as possible.
I'll second it.
Thank you, John. Any other questions?
This is all inside the budget. Karen told me that, yes, this is all inside the budget?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
It's getting tight,
Yep.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
We're coming up to, we had budgeted 670 and we're at
About 560.
560.
Okay.
So,
Right. Okay.
fingers crossed, right? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Kyle, will you make sure you reach out to Merritt and tell them that it's a go for tomorrow? One thing I'd like to just add on to that, it's not kind of related but non-related. So we've been keeping their equipment parked here in our municipal lot, which is taking up space and doing everything in anticipation of doing this. So as soon as this job is done, that equipment will be removed and we can open the parking lot back up and everything will be set for Sinterklaas, that we can go back and into a normal operation here. Okay, so a lot of coordination, but everybody seems to be moving along in the right direction. Okay, next on the agenda is, oh, did we vote?
Barry and John.
You did. Yeah, I thought we did.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. Next on the agenda is local law number 4. Local law number 4 is addressing some of the issues that were brought up in regard to the intersection of South Street and South Parsonage Street. One of the action items which we took under, said we would investigate and work, as you know, we've already previously approved to get a traffic study done. It's not a full traffic study that meets the letter of the law for the state DOT, but it is within our village requirements enough for us to make an opinion and move forward. But part of this is now to say, let's put a stop sign. Let's put a stop sign going north on South Parsonage Street. One stop sign, it's an addition of one stop sign at that intersection, which will stop traffic, and whether or not it improves or makes things worse is now going to be up for, engineering report that will culminate in time if we set the public hearing, and also give us the information that we need to be able to help make that decision. So I'd like to make a motion to set a public hearing date for resolution number 4 for conducting a public hearing on a stop sign on South Parsonage Street going north. All right, so it's a public hearing to be set. I would like to make a motion to set that public hearing at our next village board meeting, which is December 12th.
Next evening meeting.
Evening meeting, yes. This is not going to be done during the day meeting.
No.
All right. Motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion.
Is this placement pending the tie and bond report, or this is before we receive it?
If you remember the discussion, the time bond report should time out just prior to our next meeting. They
Okay.
gave us 5 weeks. 5 weeks it will time out.
So we should
And
have
that's
that.
that's one of the reasons we did what we did, so it times out in time.
So we should have that
At our last
in hand.
Yes.
And that can be posted for the public prior to the
And that will
hearing.
be posted for the public.
Terry, did you want to set a time for this, like 6 o'clock at the beginning of the meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
The resolution says 7, right? I mean,
Oh, it does.
Yeah,
But that, I was a little confused by that because they.
sorry, that's a typo. 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock. And then our meeting, regular meeting would be after?
Yeah.
Okay, got it,
We'll have a public hearing first,
got it.
and then go into
Okay,
regular meeting.
got it.
Okay.
Yes. Any other questions? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, public hearing set for 6 PM, December 12th, right before our other one, and if everything times out, I'll have information, but please come. I welcome your input. Next, public access easement.
Gary, the version that's on the web is not the most recent version that we have.
Yeah, there's a red dye that we got from the lawyer, but
Yeah.
let's
But the gist of it is the same.
just, let me just talk about it for a second. All right, so what public access easement means, it means that over where, it's now where the Dutchess County Historical Society is going to meet, that building, the sidewalk in front of it, that sidewalk, there was a slight adjustment in the sidewalk, and it's not completely at one end, totally within the DOT right away. So it crosses over into the public owner on the very end by 2 feet. All right? The owner of the property is the vendors who own that building. They have given authorization that they will not file a claim against or hold anybody accountable, because they could technically close that sidewalk off, and therefore then we would have an issue with not a passable sidewalk to get through there. So what this has gone in front of planning board, zoning board, and it falls on to us to say, do we want to pass a zoning resolution to allow this deviation in the sidewalk at the very end so that pedestrians can still make use of the sidewalk, right? So I'll read kind of a clip on it a bit. So the sidewalk installed is a requirement of a site plan approval by the planning board. Once installed, the surveyor advised that a portion of the sidewalk was erroneously installed on private property and not in the DOT right away, as I mentioned. The DOT requires that the full width of the sidewalk be open to the public and to ensure ADA compliance. In lieu of removing the sidewalk in its entirety and pouring a new one, the village could accept a public access easement over the portion of Amalgamated, which is that property, to ensure that the public has the right to use the full sidewalk. Amalgamated would be responsible for maintaining the sidewalk, including snow removal. Okay. So I would like a motion to pass this resolution to allow for the adjustment of the sidewalk into the owner's right-of-way.
Second.
Vanessa got it.
Great.
Discussion.
Who installed the sidewalk wrong in the first place?
Yeah.
I just wanted to place blame.
Not the village.
Yeah.
Good answer.
As part of the agreement with the construction of the property, they had to put in a sidewalk.
Yeah.
And so the owner slash,
The owner.
the owner put it in wrong.
The owner,
but it's
the owner hired
unclear.
somebody to do it.
Yeah, but it's
Okay.
unclear if it was because of an error in the survey or
Oh, I
what.
see.
So basically, the sidewalk is, the whole length of the sidewalk, 18 inches of it is on
Right.
their property.
Yeah, I
So,
was
yeah.
just curious, like, how that happened.
Yeah, so one
Safe.
option was to make them tear it up and re-pour it, which
Yeah.
seemed like a huge waste of
Right.
resources and money, so.
Especially since the owner is willing to let it be
Yeah.
and not hold the village responsible for any issues.
Great.
And the only update that we have that's different from the actual easement that's online is just a small change that lines up the snow removal policy in the easement with village law, so,
Yeah, and that's in paragraph number 3,
yeah,
other than the removal of snow and ice.
yeah.
Okay, so that's kind of the change that was agreed to by our legal and their legal.
Or should it just reference whatever the latest code is?
Unfortunately, it's really difficult to have contracts reference laws. Just, you should refer to Village of Rhinebeck laws because laws can be changed and that
Yeah.
makes it difficult for contracts to be enforced. So there's this sort of like weird thing in contract law that you don't always, depending on the situation, but you don't like to refer to. Yeah, I know, it's annoying. Yeah. And they need this in order for us to give them a certificate of occupancy so they can open their doors.
Right. Good point, that is true.
Yeah.
But
How close are they open?
I believe one vote away from opening.
the perceived date is early December.
Yeah.
How's that?
Very good.
But we needed to do this first.
Yeah.
And it falls on us to make this approval. Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
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 So passed, thank you.
Oh, excuse me.
Lydia, you're up.
So according to our chapter 14, the village board is allowed from time to time to set the number of alternate positions that we have for the ZBA and the planning board. So this is what this resolution is asking us to do. I'd like to set the number of alternate members to the zoning board of appeals to 3, and, oh, whoops, that's a typo. And then to the planning board also to 3. And this will allow us to make sure that our 5-member boards have adequate backup. And then I'd also like to have as part of this that the village clerk can accept at any time, not just when we've advertised it, openings to be, that the village clerk can accept at any time applications to be an alternate on either one of those boards so that we can just collect resumes as needed and as desired. And when I run into someone on the street corner and say, hey, you'd be great at this, and then they can send their resume in, it actually works, so.
But it doesn't mean that they're going to be contacted.
It does
or-
not mean that they'll be contacted, it does not mean that they will be asked to join the position, it's just that their resume will be officially on file.
It's
So let's just set expectations.
Right, it's on file, it's on file.
Yeah, so,
We're going to have a bench.
yes, we need a bench, and this is to build a bench. So,
I second the motion. Any questions?
That was my question. I was kind of curious what the number was before. It sounds like we're trying to,
it's been very ad hoc.
Yeah.
At the moment, on our planning board, we had 2, we now have 1, and the planning board is busy enough that we need more than that.
Sure.
And then on the zoning board, we have 2. One of them is active, but only certain months of the year. So at the moment, we don't really have solid
makes sense.
alternates on either board, so.
Okay. And we don't want to be in a position where we can't hold a meeting because we don't have a quorum.
Yeah,
So
yep,
it's important that we try to do everything we can to maintain the quorum. And our existing law does not prohibit us from making this resolution. The existing law was passed by resolution, so by resolution, we can change a resolution to change it, so.
No, the law just says that we can pass from time to time a resolution that says the number, so.
And the typo is to change.
Yeah, the second, let it further be resolved, it says right now it's for both the zoning board of appeals and the zoning board of appeals. I meant the zoning board of appeals and the planning
And
board.
the planning board.
That was a
Yeah,
copy paste error.
as noted in the beginning, right?
Yeah, it was a copy paste error. I'll fix that for the one that Martine actually
Okay.
signs.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Right. And then I would like to make a motion to appoint Josh Sager to be a new alternate for the planning board. I sent you all his resume. He's a wonderful guy. He's trained as an engineer. He does real estate development sort of anywhere between Long Island and here, as far as I can understand. He and his wife have lived in the village for a few years now. Really interesting, nice guy.
I've also met with Josh and had a discussion, and
Yeah.
I wholeheartedly would recommend him as an alternate for the planning board.
Brings an incredible resume to that.
Yeah, he brings up an amazing resume to it, so.
All right,
Do I have a second?
so I'll second it.
Great.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so passed. Very good. Okay, a lot of zoning. Do you want me to talk about this, Lydia, or do you want me to? The zoning complaint form. I can talk.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're trying to formalize our processes all the time. We're always looking for ways to improve things. And the way our current process works right now, if somebody comes in with a zoning concern, I should say, right, it's just a verbal process. And we don't have a tracking mechanism to be able to say when it came in, what action was taken, and what was the result. So I want to formalize this process, and one of the things that was working on with Lydia and with our zoning department was actually having a Village of Rhinebeck zoning complaint record. Okay? And the reason why I want to bring this forward, because it really is now, when a person comes forward, we're taking information directly from you, directly from the applicant, right? So this becomes a record of a complaint. I know some people say, oh, I don't want to get involved, I don't want to say anything, but whatever, but we need a way. We need to be able to track these, we need to be able to respond to them in an effective manner and make sure that nothing gets left sitting on the sidelines. So that's the purpose of this form. Section 1 is the complaint information. Section 2 would be the location of the alleged violation. Section 3 would be then the nature of the complaint or the complaint information. And then the final section would be done by our zoning enforcement officer, which would be the date is investigated, was there a violation, was there not a violation, and what the recommendations or letters or what supporting information was for that. So this is a way to kind of, again, formalize what we're doing and keep a valid record of everything that goes on in the zoning department. So I'd like to make a motion to accept the Village of Rhinebeck zoning complaint record as presented tonight.
Second, I have a question. Why is this a resolution?
You can have questions?
Okay.
Yeah.
Why does this rise to the rise of it? Why does this rise to a level of a resolution?
Because it involves the public, right? You can say, keep this internal, right? And you can have an internal document, right? But that doesn't make sense, in my opinion. In my opinion, this really is now becomes a public record. That would be okay.
So it's a full public record.
Yeah.
So if someone files one of these complaints, can anyone from the public come and request to see? the
Absolutely.
complaint?
You can foil for it. It's foilable.
Foilable, it's
Foilable.
not just, you can't just
No.
go into the building department and ask to see
No,
it?
it's foilable. Yeah.
Open up a little can of worms here. Anonymous, any thought to someone being able to do this?
We did. I did have that discussion. As we would prefer it not to be anonymous,
Of
John.
course, yeah.
Because it gives us a way then to go back and bring closure.
Yep.
But if that's the case, that's the case, and we will accept an anonymous complaint.
Okay. Thank you.
Prefer not.
You just see,
I agree
gonna
with,
cause all
I
sorts
agree
of-
with the prefer, excuse me, I agree with the prefer not, for sure.
yeah, just like the neighborly chaos that this might result in.
Right. Okay. Any other questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Who was the second, sorry? Who seconded?
I'll
I
say,
thought Lydia did.
Thank you, Lynn.
Okay. Lydia, now we're moving into our current projects.
yes.
6 Mulberry Street.
6 Mulberry Street. Our engineering firm has been in contact with the applicant over the course of the past few months, as those of you who've been paying attention to the website have probably seen. We are working on a draft, part 2 and 3 of the seeker application. And we'd like to set a special board meeting for a public comment conversation workshop, however you want to define that, for, what is it, December 4th, Monday, December 4th
Correct.
at 6 p.m.? So the motion is to have a special board meeting on Monday, December 4th at 6 p.m. in order to discuss, the parts 2 and 3 of the seeker application for the Violet Bergen Center. 6 Mulberry, Buckley Schoolhouse, however you describe it.
Second.
Questions?
So seeker will just be a draft that the
It'll
public
just
can
be
read?
it'll be a draft, so yeah, it'll be a draft application. Our counsel and Brandy will be here to kind of walk us through the engineering and legal sides of it. But there's been a lot of information that's been going back and forth over the summer between our engineering firm and the applicant about all of the things that they're required to think about.
I'd also like to make note that we plan to share this
Yeah, the draft.
as soon as the draft, prior to the meeting,
Yeah.
and probably close to 2 weeks prior to the meeting, we will share this document to give enough time for people to review and go over the data.
No promises on the 2 weeks.
Because there's lots of information in there.
Yeah.
A lot of it is boilerplate on, the section number 2, but some of it is, is it small, medium, or large impact, right? And so it gets gauged by that. And there'll be some big items, few big items, but most of the items will be kind of addressed, it's pretty obvious when you go through the seeker. And then section 3 then goes through basically defining then the major impacts. So it's really a statement of how these are going to be answered. And that's probably to me one of the most important parts, because that's how we're going to be addressing the issues that are associated with the seeker of 6 Mulberry Street.
Oh, and just to remind everybody, the reason why we're doing this is because the applicant has come forward to the village board to ask us for a zoning code change to allow 6 Mulberry Street to be converted into a multifamily building, and to also subdivide the property in order to build 4 new single-family homes. So this is all part of that process. Yes.
When we're looking at this review, are you going to complete the first part of the seeker application?
Part 1 is done. Part 1 is done, correct?
It wasn't
Why not?
done.
It was.
It was not complete. There were omissions in it, and
Yeah, we
it
need
was an
to,
incomplete.
this is all part of, yeah, we'd have to go back and,
I was understanding
Figure
part
that
1
one
was
out.
finished.
I
All right.
do not know the answer to that.
I don't know the answer.
If it was finished, it was never declared to be finished.
Okay.
Right.
There were
Yeah.
open questions
I
that were
think it's
raised.
all draft at the moment, like we're all in just draft conversations, and then we'd have to approve the whole thing once the whole thing is complete. I think that's how it works, but don't quote me on that.
So let's make it a
we have
review.
questions
Let's
about-
redefine it. We'll make this a review of part 1, part 2, part 3.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay?
So if there were questions about how some of the studies were done, are we raising that at the meeting, at the public meeting?
I'm sorry, Diane, I
If there were
don't.
questions about the methodology that was used for some of the studies, is this meeting where we're going to raise those issues, like the traffic study?
Sure, yeah. You're also very well represented, and so that question can also come to us, separately. So, yeah, however you'd like to raise it, we're happy to hear it.
Okay.
Oh, so did we actually say?
Did we say that? No, I seconded it.
Okay.
Now we have discussion. Any other discussion? All right, all in favor of setting a special meeting for Village Board, December 4th at 6 p.m. to review the seeker? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Vanessa?
Okay, so just a really quick update on the Locust Hill development. The developer is going to apply for some funding and requested a letter of support from the village board as well as town board. The village board did supply a letter of support for that project, as did the town board. And a copy of the letter is on the cloud.
Any questions? There's nothing to vote on. Well, we
Just an
could.
update.
Let's do a vote. All in favor of approving the letter of support? I make a motion to approve the letter of support.
A second.
Second it. Any discussion?
The one that we already sent?
No, yeah, so let's go through the process.
Okay.
Memorialize.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I want to make it official.
Thanks for that. We sent the letter prior to the vote because it was basically just restating what we had already agreed upon and voted upon when we were discussing the agreement with Locust Hill.
Yeah.
I just go on record, since it was sent before I was appointed, that I agree with the letter.
Okay.
Great.
Okay. Vanessa, I'm going to keep you on board here.
Okay, so Trustee Lewitt and I have been working on Safe Routes to School. There's a Transportation Alternatives Program grant, and we did accept the letter of interest from an engineering firm called GPI. So we're now working with them to put together a draft application. Our first deadline is November 28th, where we will be submitting some of our first draft materials for review by the state. Then we get those comments back mid-December, and the final deadline is November 9th. So, January 9th. It's a process that's now underway. It's really exciting. So we did put up on the cloud our letter, our notification of selection to the engineering firm, just to have that on the record.
Well, this was approved at our last meeting,
Yeah.
so we're repeating what we did, but it's been previously approved and accept that.
Right.
Okay, I'll pick it up from here. So as part of the TAP application process, one of the important things that has to be shown is community support, community concerns when you're going to speak to New York State Department of Transportation and the feds for funds. So in order to somewhat quantify that and take a look at that, myself, Meredith Ferber, Roger Kwan, developed a brief survey, which I've circulated to members of the board. And the purpose of the survey really is just to gauge people's attitudes about what they feel like the priority projects should be around the village, that's really the easiest way to say it. So what I'd like to do is ask a resolution for the board to be able to circulate that survey using village channels.
You didn't put this up in the resolutions, right?
I didn't put it in the resolutions. I put it in.
Would you have to shape that as a resolution?
Yeah, we'll take a vote on it, but I don't, whatever. Okay,
Okay,
process. Sorry,
okay,
I didn't know you were going to push this up tonight.
okay. Well, it was circulated for your comments and approval.
Got it.
Okay. So I'd like to make a motion that we may use the village communications channels to circulate the survey.
Second.
Survey, okay.
What's the deadline date?
depends upon when we get it out, but we want to give people about 2 weeks, which seems to be the proper amount of time. Meredith works at Marist, and she's been getting advice from the Marist poll folks. Not that they're involved, but basically she's able to say, hey, what's the proper window for this kind of stuff, and some wordsmithing for some questions and stuff like that. So they've been providing a little back channel help. And it's just in 2 weeks.
We would like the results back in time to be able to include this in our top application, supporting evidence.
Okay.
So
Any other questions?
the only thought I have on this is, obviously the survey that you've drafted is much more sort of detailed on the actual safe walks to school and things like that, but this topic was covered in the comp plan survey, and the comp plan spent an enormous amount of time and effort trying to get people to respond to that survey, and we received over 700 responses, somewhere between 700 and 800, right? 716, right, there you go. And that was mailing postcards to every house, multiple sort of opportunities for people to be reminded that this survey existed. So, obviously we have that information and I've shared it with you, and that should be included in the TAP grant process. But, I don't know how many people are actually gonna respond if they only have 2 weeks to respond, and, there's not a huge amount of publicity behind it, but I suppose the point of this is that everything helps.
We do what we can.
It's worth a shot.
Yeah,
We
okay.
can also, we can ask the school district. if
I was
they
going
would
to
share
ask that. Is there a school district mechanism that they can communicate
it. Yes.
that we use, or?
We can ask.
We can ask,
Of
yeah.
course, yeah.
But that's what we decide. And that is on our little committee, that is one of our next steps, is to talk to the district. But John would love to talk to you if you have any thoughts about it. The best way to get this stuff out.
Yeah, that would be one of them.
The question I had, I actually listed in the email, but who gets the responses? Is it you?
Yes, the response is coming to me. We're using Microsoft Forms.
So inside the OneDrive and
Correct.
the trustee Lewitt at Village of Rhinebeck email address?
Correct.
Okay.
So I get to see them. Basically, the Forms document recreates all the things that SurveyMonkey
Yeah.
does,
That's pretty
but it's all within our Office package.
Right,
So,
okay.
so basically, it's returning to the village.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that the data was on a village server and not on
Yes.
like a Gmail server or something.
No, that is coming back to village account.
Great.
All in favor of sending out a survey, say aye.
Aye.
Vanessa, give us an update on this wonderful charts of Cappy.
Okay, CAPI stands for Climate Action Planning Institute, and this is the program where the village is one of 9 municipalities in Dutchess County that's working together to do a greenhouse gas emissions inventory and a climate action plan. We're at the point now where we've already done the inventory. Now we're forecasting what our greenhouse gas emissions going to look like by 2030. And this is just focusing on government operations, not community-wide for this project I'm talking about right now. And so we've created basically the first step, which is a business as usual forecast. What does the future hold for us if we don't intentionally try to draw down our emissions? And so that's what I've shared on the cloud, is a few slides showing what the business as usual forecast looks like, as well as kind of some other images, charts and graphs, digging into the emissions. And I'm hoping that December next meeting, I could actually give a presentation going through this and talk about our reduction strategies for how we're going to reduce our emissions by 2030. So this is almost like a little preview of what's to come.
Amazing.
Thank you. I'd just like to draw everybody's attention to the CO2 use by record in our top contributor. Drum roll, please. This building.
Yeah, the heating oil for the furnace in this building is one of the top contributors.
Interesting.
Yeah.
By a lot. I think Lydia saw for the first time our vessel.
I did. It was something.
She was quite impressed.
Looked like something straight out of an aircraft carrier.
One big old piece down there.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Vanessa, can you give us a quick overview
Sure,
of the
yeah.
crossing guard program?
Yeah, so as part of our discussion leading from the comments we got from the public, looking into safe routes to school and what are some other interventions we could do in the more near term, what should we consider? And so one of the things we're looking at was a crossing guard program. And so I just dug in and did a bunch of research and tried to compile everything I could find into one document. So that presentation is up on the cloud if anybody wants to see it. And we did share it with Superintendent Cousins. Just to share just a few highlights. Again, all that research is compiled and free for anyone to look at, but a few highlights. Crossing guards in New York State do have to reside under the purview of the local law enforcement. A crossing guard doesn't have to be a police officer, but they do have to be trained and under the insurance of the village and under the auspices of the police department. Hiring them probably would entail background checks. I mean, these are adults who would be working with children, school children, so you want to do fingerprinting and stuff like that. And there is actually no one standardized training, so that's something to be developed internally. I've found some YouTube videos from other cities and towns that have done these sorts of trainings, so there's some best practices and examples out there, but there's no like mandated certification from the state, as far as I can tell. It's, in talking to a few other communities, it's a difficult judgment call then for the village board to make. It's up to us. And just speaking about it internally, one of the biggest challenges is that our police department is really, really having a hard time recruiting. And we're really short-staffed in the police department. So if any of you have friends out there who are interested in being a member of our police force, please do get in touch. But that would be a challenge for our police department to take on a new program at the moment. So that's definitely a big deal. But yeah, I think this is something I know that the Superintendent Cousins is sharing it with the school board. And he said, and some members of the school board also told me they wish they could have been here tonight just to recognize the importance of this issue, but it just so happens that their meeting coincides at the exact same time as this meeting, unfortunately. But any other questions or thoughts?
So we're introducing it tonight.
Yeah.
We're not taking action on it tonight.
Thank you for all of your hard work on
Right.
this.
Yeah.
But this is the introduction, and so now the next steps is really we need to start thinking about how we want to proceed with the process. So we kind of like what Vanessa and I were talking about is let's put together a plan and let's figure out how we go through the steps to decide how to do this or not to do it.
Yeah, and I discovered something interesting, that even though municipalities are required to bear the cost of, or at least they're required to have them on payroll or insider insurance and all the rest of it. But state law does allow us to enter into an agreement with the school to have them help pay for it.
That's right.
Yeah, that's not new, we've done that.
Oh, okay.
You didn't know, maybe.
I didn't know that. So that made me feel better about the whole thing, that this might.
But they have to approve it.
No, of course they,
Yeah.
of course they do. I mean, it has to be a nice conversation.
It's not like it's an automatic.
No, yeah, that I get, but.
The other thing I was trying to determine is like, what's the standard that warrants a crossing guard? Because, right, because if you say,
Right.
oh, we think there's one that's necessary right here, there might be other places in the village that would warrant a crossing guard. So the best thing I could come close to, because there's no law about this.
Right.
And then in like the traffic, bureaucratic traffic reading that I was doing, it seems like there must be every minute a gap long enough for a child to cross the street, however wide that street may be. And so,
So a crossing guard is warranted when that situation does not exist?
Could be warranted.
Could be warranted.
yeah, may be warranted. It's not
Right.
thou shalt have the crossing guard if
Yeah.
that's the case.
Otherwise, we'd see a lot more of them.
So I mean, I'm curious to see the study that Time Fund is already doing
Right.
at that intersection is going to have some traffic data, and it'd be interesting to do analysis to see, in those morning and afternoon rush hour commutes to school, to and from school, is the flow of traffic that constant that
Right, there's no
gap.
break. Yeah.
We're looking for a gap in
Yeah.
the traffic flow.
So what Vanessa and I talked about is a metric.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do we establish a metric so that equal intersections can be reviewed equally for having a process for a decision-making process?
Right.
It can't be like, I want one on my corner.
Right,
You
yeah,
want
yeah.
one on your corner.
Right.
You want one on your corner. We have to have a decision-making process to do that.
Yeah.
So it's going to take some work. But thank you. It's a good set of charts.
May I just ask a question for clarification? Lydia, you were saying...
So, Eric, let me acknowledge you.
Okay,
All right, and come on.
okay. Other people did ask.
Well, they did give me a chance, but I'm enforcing the rules here.
That's
If you're gonna comment, you have questions.
No, I just wanted clarification on something that Lydia was mentioning about state law
Uh-oh.
allowing us to enter into agreement with the school. Is that enter into agreement for funding, to seek out funding?
Yes.
So Eric, think about it like we currently have an agreement with the school for school resource officers, okay? And it's an IMA between us and the school. This is a very similar vehicle that can be put into place if both parties mutually agree to do something, okay?
Okay.
It's along those lines.
It's Chapter 24, Article 10, Section 208A, in case you're curious,
Okay.
of state law.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks for getting my steps in.
we're gonna go on to special requests. First one is Santa Claus. I think, is everybody aware that Santa Claus is coming to town?
Did you remember?
All right, so Santa Claus has submitted an event application. We've had many meetings already to try to plan and organize for this. And so basically, it's the same event every year. We estimate an attendance of excess of 5,000 people. The hours of peak of crowds will be between 5:30 and 7:30, which is the parade. There's going to be, as always, a lot of planning and coordination to do this event. It does depend on the event organizer to get DOT approval to have this and Board of Health approval to have this. Those applications have been submitted to the respective departments for approval. So what I'd like to do is make a motion to accept the Santa Claus application for December 2nd,
Pending approval.
pending the approval of DOT and Board of Health.
Second.
Discussion.
Is it really 5,000 people? It feels more like 20,000.
I said in excess of 5,000.
Because that's the threshold.
That's right.
right?
That's
That's a threshold for a mass gathering.
gathering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we
Yep.
say what the honored animal is?
Drum roll.
It's been announced, so it's nothing new.
Yeah.
It's all over the press.
So what is it?
Is
An
it
ant.
It's
Oh,
the mighty ant.
So, all right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next one is Pace Land Use and Sustainable Development Course.
That's me.
Yeah.
On December 8th, the Pace Land Use Law Center is having its annual conference, and I would like to go. It would cost $100 because I'm a government person. But, you know, Land Use and Sustainable Development Conference, given everything that we've been doing with comp plan and Locust Hill and everything.
Good for you.
You'll share some insights with us.
I will share insights.
Yeah, I second it. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next is Foster's Coach House, tree lighting. Foster's Coach House is again this year, going to hold a tree lighting ceremony. It'll be at Foster's Coach House Tavern, which will hold its annual tree lighting event on their outdoor patio. They're not going to impact parking with this. It'll be for November 22nd, starting at 6 o'clock. Setup starts at 5, but the event starts at 6, and it'll end at 7. Okay? So, and everything will be back to normal by 7:45, according to their plan. So I'd like to make a motion to approve Foster's Coach House tree lighting ceremony for November 22nd.
Second.
Thank you, Rick. Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So passed. Next, turkey trot. This again is an annual road race for the applicants of Ferncliff Forest. The turkey trot is a 5K road race which goes down part of Montgomery and Mount Rushmore and back. And will start at 8 a.m. and will be done by 11 a.m. With a couple minutes to tear down afterwards. I'd like to make a motion to approve the annual Ferncliff Forest Turkey Trot on November 23rd.
A second.
Discussion. Just be advised, the street will be open, but the street, I would advise everybody to travel carefully when they're on that road, and please give the right of way to our runners that are out there. Okay? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
There's a penalty permit under the Fosters. Sold.
Rick has raised any question about a peddler's permit. We give permission for our clerk to sign off on all peddler's permit. We don't need to vote on them. Okay? We've done that, and that's the procedure. Okay?
Excellent.
So our village clerk will handle that. Next, CTA class. There's a request to use Village Hall by Dutchess County Tourism. I'm going to suspend this because I've been in conversations with Dutchess County Tourism, and they're still trying to decide on what the right venue is, whether it's here or another building to hand it. So this will be suspended until next time. We have plenty of time. They don't need it until middle of December, so we can act on this at one of our other meetings. Okay? All right, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes for this October 10th, 2023.
Second.
I probably should abstain from all of this.
Correct. Hang on a second. There was one of these I wasn't at.
I think it was the one on the 12th.
I think so too.
12,
12, all right.
27.
So all in favor of approving the one on October 10th, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. I'd like to make a motion, can I make a motion to approve it if I wasn't there? Yeah, I'm going to make a motion to approve the minutes for October 12th, 2023.
Second.
I abstain. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from December 27th, 2023.
October 27th. Second.
October 27th, is that what I said? Sorry. Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'd like to make a motion to again approve another meeting in October. This village board has been busy. For October 31st, 2023.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Monsieur Penny will abstain from that. Okay. Rick, Tree Commission.
Okay. The Tree Commission held a very successful tree planting day on Saturday, October 28th, where 21 trees were planted in 15 locations. That's not the subject of the minutes I have in front of me, so we'll get a full report next time. And there are no action items on this month's report. So the report as submitted.
Thank you. Nice. Vanessa, Climate Smart.
Yeah, just, I already mentioned some of the things on my monthly report, but I wanted to remind everyone, if any friends or neighbors in the village are purchasing an electric vehicle or a plug-in hybrid, send them to me, because if we can get 5 people who've done so before the end of the year, then we get a $5,000 grant. So this is sort of a campaign that we're doing through the Clean Energy Communities Program.
You're right, is this purchase or is this lease apply?
It has to be a purchase, it has to be a new, not a used vehicle. But it can be a plug-in hybrid as well as an EV. They just have to live in the village.
Okay. Lydia, comprehensive plan update?
Well, not really. They're working.
Okay.
They're working very hard. Progress is being made.
Progress has happened.
Yeah, their next meeting is December 14th.
Yes, thank you. All right, I'd like to, again, acknowledge our personnel who work for the village, work so diligently for the village all the time. This year, for obtaining 1 year, our wastewater operator trainee, Will Caruso. And for those who have not seen Will lately, he's been at school for the last 2 weeks, studying taking courses for his certification.
It's awesome.
Working hard,
It's awesome.
but enjoying it and trying to get a lot out, and getting a lot out of what it becomes to run a wastewater treatment plant. Okay?
It's amazing.
So congratulations, Will. Thank you for being here. Superintendent Kyle Amy, thank you for working with them and helping them to move that process along.
Just an update with Will. He just actually texted me, and he passed another quiz today, and he is attending after school assistance with a study group working on for tomorrow.
Nice update.
Well done.
All right.
It's like we're getting him into college.
He's doing great.
So at this time, I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss our union negotiations.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the executive meeting.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn our monthly village board meeting for November 14th, 2023.
Aye.
Second.
All
Second.
all in favor, say aye.
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 So passed.